For pretty much all of human history, we believed intelligence was ours and ours alone. It was that special spark that defined us. But right now, something truly extraordinary is happening. A new kind of mind is emerging, one that's learning, discovering, and solving problems that have stumped us for decades. It looks like we're about to witness a brand new round in the ultimate game, the intelligence game.
And what's driving this whole revolution? Well, it's one of the oldest and most profound questions we've ever dared to ask ourselves. It's a question that really gets to the core of what it even means to be human.
I mean, think about it. We are living through this incredible, pivotal moment. The game of intelligence, which we've been playing solo for thousands of years, suddenly has a new player at the table. And here's the catch. This player doesn't think like we do. So, to really get a handle on this new kind of mind, we have to start with the human story behind it all. It's a story about a lifelong obsession with games, with the brain, and with the very nature of intelligence itself.
And that story really begins with a guy named Demis Hassabis. From a really young age, he was just fascinated by what he called the thinking game. He mastered chess as a kid, then he started building these incredible, complex worlds inside computers. But he was always chasing a much bigger question. How does the brain actually work? And could we ever build one?
You see, for him, this wasn't just a career path, it was a mission, plain and simple. He wasn't just trying to build clever programs. He wanted to solve the riddle of intelligence itself, and then turn around and use that key to unlock the biggest challenges facing all of us. So with this absolutely massive goal in mind, he set off on what pretty much everyone considered an impossible quest, to build the world's first general learning machine. So, back in 2010, Hassabis and his colleagues started a company called DeepMind. Now, their goal wasn't just to build an AI that could do one thing really well. No, they were aiming for the whole shebang, artificial general intelligence, or AGI, a single system that could learn to do pretty much anything a human can. Now, what's so wild about this is just how crazy the idea sounded at the time. You have to understand, AI was almost an embarrassing term in some academic circles back then. They were pitching an absolute moonshot, asking investors to bet on something that might not even be possible. It was basically like buying a lottery ticket for the future of science. So where do you even start with a goal that big? Well, their first test was, believe it or not, classic Atari games. They built a single algorithm that knew nothing about Space Invaders or Breakout. All it could see were the pixels on the screen, and it had just one simple goal: get the highest score possible. And through millions of games of just trial and error, it learned. It figured out what worked, what didn't, and eventually it didn't just master these games, it found strategies no human had ever even thought of. But look, Atari was just the warm-up. It was the training ground. To prove that their approach could tackle real complexity, they had to go after the holy grail of board games, a challenge that had stumped AI researchers for decades. And that game was Go, a game studied for 2,500 years, with more possible moves than there are atoms in the known universe. I mean, just try to wrap your head around that. The experts all thought it would be at least another 10 years before a computer could beat a human world champion. DeepMind was about to prove them all wrong. In 2016, their AI, called AlphaGo, sat down to face the world champion Lee Sedol in a match watched by millions. And then it happened. In the second game, AlphaGo made a move so unexpected, so completely alien, that it just left the entire world speechless. Move 37. The commentators were baffled. AlphaGo itself had calculated there was only a 1 in 10,000 chance a human expert would have played that move. It went against centuries of strategy. This wasn't just calculation. This felt different. It felt like intuition. It felt creative. A new kind of intelligence had just announced its arrival. But here's the thing you have to remember. Winning games was never the real point. It was just proof that their idea worked. The real test was whether this new kind of intelligence could be unleashed on the kinds of scientific problems that have held back progress for 50 years. So that brings us to something called the protein folding problem. For half a century, this was a grand challenge in biology. Basically, proteins are these tiny little machines that run everything in our bodies. But to figure out how they work, and more importantly, how to fix them when they cause diseases, you need to know their exact 3D shape. Cracking that was the key to unlocking countless medical mysteries. So the DeepMind team built a new system called AlphaFold, and in 2020, it did what thousands of brilliant scientists couldn't do in 50 years. It solved the protein folding problem. Suddenly, a process that could take years of painstaking work in a lab could be done in seconds on a computer. And this is maybe the most incredible part of the whole story. They didn't just keep this breakthrough to themselves. They used AlphaFold to predict the structure of nearly every known protein on Earth. That's over 200 million of them. And then they released all of that data for free as a gift to humanity. So just think about that journey for a second. From old school video games to the ancient game of Go, all the way to the very building blocks of life itself. This journey is showing us what becomes possible when we invent not just new tools, but entirely new ways of thinking. I mean, if AI can crack a problem like protein folding, what's next? This same fundamental technology could help us design new drugs to fight diseases like Alzheimer's or invent new materials to solve climate change. It could accelerate basically every field of science at once. We're not just talking about small steps forward. This could be a catalyst for a whole new era of discovery. But, of course, with power like this comes a huge responsibility. As we get closer and closer to building a true general intelligence, a technology that could be more powerful than anything we've ever created, we have to be incredibly careful. As Demis himself says, we might only get one shot to get this right. So we kind of circle back to where we started, but the question has changed. It's not really a debate anymore about if machines can think. The real question is for us, what kind of future are we going to build with these new minds by our side? Look, this story, it isn't just science fiction happening in some lab somewhere. The AI revolution is here, right now, and it's changing our world. Understanding how to actually use these new tools is becoming a crucial skill. So if this story has inspired you to go beyond the headlines and really learn what's possible, your journey can start today. If you want to keep exploring the future of intelligence and all the other technologies that are shaping our world, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for joining us on this journey.